welcome to TIA Talks. My name is Jason, and today we're going to talk about education and transformation in this industry that we so love. And I've got Lyndwill Clarke from the FSCA. He's big into education, and I'm actually super keen to pick his brain on a lot of stuff. And then Zanele Gigaba, welcome. You're part of SAIA, and I'm not going to tell the viewers what that means. I'd like you to just jump straight into it and let us know, what is SAIA and who are you, Zanele?
Thank you so much, Jason. So SAIA, the South African Insurance Association, is an association that represents the non-life insurance companies in South Africa. We've got about 55 members with a market share of about 95% or more. So we represent most of the non-life insurers in South Africa. Our job is to represent our members' interests with government, and we also do a lot of lobbying. I'm personally involved in transformation, consumer education projects. Lyndwill here is
you call
my
him
colleague.
Linz? Is that a nickname?
No.
Okay, so the guests know each other and I don't know them.
Please, let's not go with the lens.
It's Lyndwill.
Okay,
Lyndwill is my colleague.
Okay.
So we work on various projects to do with industry and sector consumer education. Zanele, I'm a transformation manager at SAIA. I've been in the industry for over 30 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
so
it. I'm 34.
Yeah, so you're in, okay, let's not go there. Anyway, so I first heard about the industry, actually, the short-term insurance industry, when I got a bursary to go to university. So it was quite interesting because when I was watching some of the episodes with TIA, I picked up that actually it's true that we don't know the industry until we stumble on it. So yes, so I've been there. The industry called me. I didn't walk into it, and it's been great since.
What were you studying?
My first degree was a BCom degree.
First degree?
No,
Sure.
okay, well, BCom degree.
Okay.
Yes, in KZN. Yeah, between 1993.
And then the move from your degree to insurance, did you finish your degree and then just decide, okay, this is probably calling me now? Or
So actually, so I got a bursary. It was 1992 when someone from the University of KZN came to our school to just introduce University of KZN as well as the Bachelor of Commerce. So they were recruiting.
hold on. So the school, those little functions that the school does, where they bring universities and all those things, it actually worked.
It worked. Yeah, so someone came, we went to write a test. I didn't even know what BCom was then, or commercial subjects, because I was doing maths and science at school. So I just took my chance, went there, they got a bursary for me. The only thing they did was, because we were coming from the old regime.
I was about to ask, because it's 92.
Yes.
So it's like,
Just
it's
before.
just before,
Yes.
kind of just after 1990. So you're like in a very gray place.
It actually in a very rich space, because most of my colleagues from that era got bursaries. So bursaries were very much available. Yes.
That's amazing to hear, actually.
Yeah, no, there was good stuff happening then.
Yeah.
Yes, so I got a full bursary from Commercial Union. You wouldn't know them.
I will try and guess. No, I don't.
No,
I don't know. Commercial
no,
Union.
so from Commercial Union. And 4 years later, I finished my degree and I started working. In fact, I worked from 1993. All my holidays, I had to work. I started as an underwriter. I went to claims administrator. I did all that until I came to Johannesburg, and then I went into finance.
Yeah. What is your favorite part of insurance? Like which department was your favorite to be in?
To be honest with you, I started getting more intimate with the insurance industry when I left the industry in 2016 to do my MBA. That's when I came across.
There's the fourth degree.
That's the second one. Okay. That's when I came across financial inclusion.
Okay.
Because prior to that, I think when you engage with clients, you still feel bad when clients are not getting their claims paid because they didn't understand this section or that section of the policy. And I didn't understand the purpose of the industry. When I left and I started doing my research, it was when I actually realized that actually we have a big purpose in the country. Yes. Yeah. Sure. In terms of financial inclusion and risk mitigation. Yeah. So, and since then I joined SAIA after finishing my MBA and went straight to consumer financial education. as well as transformation in general. And there's so much to know about the industry if you are not in the industry.
Yeah.
We're not chasing numbers anymore. We're chasing the strategy and the sustainability of the industry. So I'm very much passionate about that.
It's awesome to hear that, because there's a lot of people now in the industry, and we've got a lot of people entering still. I find that the lack of skills, or let me put it, skills, there's a skills gap in terms of who's left in the industry, who's entering the industry, and how they kind of bridge that. And Lyndwill, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, because you're in the education side and the upskilling, I'm sure, of people in our industry, both of you. Lyndwill, before I even get into the upskilling and the gap, what do you do at the FSCA? Because I'm super scared of the regulator. But I understand.
You shouldn't be. We're good people.
Yes, well, that's the thing. I've met so many guys from the FSCA on this podcast, and it has been quite refreshing as a broker to know that it's not just red tape. There's a human being behind the scenes, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're all human beings.
Yeah.
And I think from our side, because we're consumer facing, we're not the scary part. You got to be scared of the FSCA because they're going to take your license away.
Yeah, you're protecting the client.
So we're looking at the consumer facing and the consumer voice. But more recently, we're trying to integrate our regulatory functions with consumer education. So whatever
I have seen that.
Yeah. So whatever they're doing on, if they impose a penalty or whatever the case may be, or there's a debarment somewhere and it becomes public knowledge, we ask why has this happened? What was the reason? So that we can now start creating messages around all of that, so that that can go out to the public. But my story begins way, way earlier, much earlier than Zanele's one. I mean,
So not 30 years.
well, a little bit more than that. So I've been involved in education, obviously, since sub-A. So, and that was in the 70s.
I've heard sub-A.
Sub-A
anyone
is
in the
now
comments,
grade 1.
Anyone in the comments
So
can
just to
comment
show you, how far back I go.
Yeah.
So I was still in the subs.
Sure.
So I was in the 80s. I was a learner at a school. I was a university student, and I was a teacher in the turbulent 80s. So I got quite a lot of experience, both in the streets, but also in the classroom. And I think that helped me a lot to become I always say I'm a teacher by trade, but an educator by profession. And I always feel if you're an educator, you can teach anything.
Yeah.
So I studied maths and science. I'm a maths and a computer science major.
I was going to say, you did look like one of my Mr. Alexander,
Yeah,
one of my science teachers.
And remember, we taught in the era where corporal punishment was still allowed.
Oh, I don't even want to get into that now.
Exactly, and I taught in the townships, so it was quite a learning experience. In fact, just a little on the side, when I did my practice teaching, we went to a school called Langa High on the Cape Flats, and it was basically we had to teach. There's no practice teaching because there were no teachers.
Yeah.
And it was crowd control because there were 60 to 70 learners in the classroom.
No.
And you're a young chap, you have to teach mathematics.
Yeah.
Do these learners have no clue? They got no base.
And they don't want to listen.
They don't want to. They came through primary school with absolutely no numeracy knowledge, and you have to teach them math. So I think what I'm doing today actually helped me a lot in terms of having the sense and the background knowledge about where people come from and the context of people's situation when it comes to financial education and financial literacy.
It's so important. I think the teacher at heart, I think, is the big thing, because you start to gain an understanding of the person in front of you when you treat them as a pupil, as a learner. You're like looking at them, because funny enough, I taught grade 8 and 9 maths for 2 years.
Wow.
So I was also a teacher.
Lovely.
And I know that I'm called to teach. So when I went into insurance, funny enough, that teaching for 2 years was something that really gave me the skill to actually sell, because I can explain an insurance product or a really crazy terminology and the financial terminology and all that stuff to clients, and they just get it because I can break it down right down to the bottom. And it really has helped my business a lot. And I really do think teaching is one of those. It's not, I don't think that saying is those who can't do teach.
No.
I think that those who can do everything teach.
So true.
Yeah.
No, so true.
Yeah.
And it helps, like you say. So if you understand the people in front of you and you can break it up into simple terms, because finance, and when I joined the FSB, I had a big challenge because finance and education are two words that shouldn't be together. Because when I spoke to the guys on the finance side, they said to me, no, but you have to do it this way. Then I said, no, but pedagogically and from an educational point of view, you can't take these legal terms, the legalese, and take it to people and expect them to understand it. You need to break it down and use simple language.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the big battles we had at the FSB then. It's now become much easier because now we've made financial education real within the FSCA. Because our mandate now requires us to promote financial literacy and implement.
So it's a strategic thing now.
It is, yeah. So it's one of our objectives in terms of the Act. So we have to do it. We don't have a choice.
Sure. It's in the Act.
It's in the Act.
So you put it in the Act yourself.
Well, when they drafted the FSR Act, we actually got together and we said, listen, we need to get this more prominently and give us some powers within the Act to actually do this. Because we realize, I think it's only in it's the Credit Act that has a bit of consumer education. I don't think the other acts have so much financial education in it like we have. So in a sense, we became the curators of financial education, which in itself is a big job because you've got a small staff, human resources, and you've got a small budget. Don't come to us for the money. Let's get to the money story.
So I'm looking for sponsorship for season 3 if anyone's interested.
Yeah.
Because the FSCA is not interested.
But we can provide you with all kinds of knowledge. I always say materials are free. We can provide you. I can come on the show every week if you want me to.
Perfect.
And we can talk about all kinds of
TIA
things.
Talks Education.
There we go.
And we'll teach you a little snippet. Instead of an ad break, we should actually have a little definition thing. You know, this is what this is, and then we move on to the next one. Keep that, note that someone. Note
can do that.
So that's where I come from and where I came in is actually looking at, and my first or one of the tasks I was assigned is to take financial education into schools.
Man, that's awesome.
And it was awesome. It was an awesome idea.
Yeah, but
in
hard
practice,
to put in place.
it's a hard thing because the education department thinks they've got it covered, but they've got it covered theoretically and academically. And financial education, if we speak even literacy, it's not an academic exercise. It's a skill that you require and you need to implement on a constant basis because you work with money.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, you have to pay for something, or you have to buy something. So you need to have that skill or in the back of your mind is, do I buy it or don't I buy it?
Yeah. And we're seeing, I think, a lot of the education moving away from like the credit stuff because debt is not the only thing that puts people in a hole. You know, if your insurance policy doesn't pay, it can put you in a hole.
Exactly.
You know, and I think a lot of people are now seeing the importance of trying to understand what they are purchasing because people are asking me way more questions than they used to. You know, we sell a car and home insurance policy, and usually it's quite an easy thing to do. Now these people really want to know, okay, is this covered? Is this covered? Is this not covered? And it's part of my job to educate them, not just to advise them, because those terms, what is an excess to half of the people, you know, or a deductible? That's the one that you actually have to explain.
And of course, English is not most people's first language in South Africa. So
actually, how do you then bridge that gap?
So I don't know. I don't know how Zanele does it.
Yeah, this is like transformation and education.
Yes. So in our department, we speak, I think, 9 out of the 10 official languages, and and the 11th one, sign language now, isn't it? Oh no, we've got 11. We've got 10 out of 11.
Okay.
And the 12th one, sign. So I've got 10 out of the 12.
Wow.
Within the staff that can speak those languages.
Wow.
So it makes it easy, but it also makes it difficult because I got a guy that speaks isiZulu, but when he goes to KZN, they kick him out of the workshop. They say, don't come with Gauteng Zulu. Yeah. You speak KZN Zulu.
So there's also a cultural kind of thing and vernac that'll come into play.
Exactly. Yeah. So what we've been starting to do now is do train-the-trainer workshops. So in each area, we've got trainers that speak the local dialect or the vernacular. Yeah. And we're trying to then provide them with the resources and they then go out and do it. And that's the best way to do it because then you get somebody from the community, they identify with that person. You get an organization within the community to help you recruit because nobody knows the FSCA except TIA.
Yeah. or the us brokers.
Yeah. So nobody knows, and you have to explain up front. But sometimes we also don't even talk about the FSCA at all. Because when you do financial education, you look at the context because you need to get to know your audience first before you start bringing in.
And I think it's not
like
important to even know that the FSCA is doing it because in my mind, I feel like as the regulator, you mentioned it before we went live and stuff, you're not just a regulator, you're an educator. And I think that should show in, like, we have TCF, where we are bound by TCF and we have to it must be embedded in the culture. And I think I'm seeing a shift from the old school way of doing things, where it's starting to be embedded in the culture of these regulators and these large organizations that represent other people and other role players in the industry. Zanele, I think I want to touch on the transformation side as well, because I loved what Lyndwill said about the languages. Transformation, in my opinion, isn't just black or white, and it's not just English and Afrikaans and then Zulu added to it. I think there's so many facets to transformation. Maybe go into that a little bit and how we're bridging that gap, specifically around language and those type of things from a transformation point of view.
So the consumer financial education space within the financial sector is governed by the Financial Sector Code. And we've got what we call a guidance note 500, which has got some objectives and some deliverables that we need to meet, and some boxes that we need to tick. I'm going to start there.
Sometimes there are boxes that you just have
boxes,
to tick.
But we've had to convert those boxes into something tangible for us to be able to reach our consumers. So one of them is accessibility. Now, accessibility could speak to that if you are doing a workshop, for instance, it needs to be in an area that is close enough for the beneficiaries to come through. We need to reach not just the Black community, but rural reach as well is important. We're looking at things like townships for it to have some kind of amplification there. But also over and above that, because we also reach a lot of consumers through radio. It is about what time do you reach them. It needs to be a platform that is easily accessible for everyone. And then obviously language and understandability comes in there, and there's a few others that I cannot mention now because I have to read the actual guidance note. Yes, but language is important as well. Especially for insurance, because people don't understand insurance and insurance terminologies. So we engage with people or people that deliver our own initiatives, speak the local languages.
I found recently I had a workshop. So with the FSCA sitting in this room with me, I saw a guidance note that came out with financial literacy from brokers and advisors that we maybe do our course with the staff or something like that, and we have to get it vetted and approved, and what are we actually teaching. So firstly, I want to say kudos to you guys, because that wasn't even spoken about, and now there's a guidance note around how can I actually educate my clients better. And I actually have an ask. I would love to partner with you guys to actually get content into the brokers and into that space, because we are at the front line of these clients, and I would love to educate my clients. Because there was last week or 2 weeks ago, I went to a client and I did a financial literacy workshop with them, and I sent them a survey to find out what is the need in this office. It was actually a health spa, and the ladies that were doing the nails and the massages and stuff really wanted to know how to manage their salary. And I got there with my surveys done, and you could see what they marked that they weren't sure of, and I get there and I've done my little presentation and I put together a proper 20-page slide, and I'm going to see you for 2 hours and we're going to go through this, and you laughing because you probably know what's coming. And I sat there and I looked at the ladies that were in front of me, and we started, and I could see that they really didn't understand anything actually that I wanted to start with. So I actually sat there and I said, let's have a conversation. Let me get to understand you better. Let's forget about the survey and all the boxes that were ticked and what you really struggle with. I want to know what actually is the problem. And we started from there. And I think just the fact that there's a space for people, and that brings me to my question. I want to know from you guys, there's a need, obviously, of education, that we can see it. And there's also the supply now of educators out there that are willing to give the content and do it. But is there a willingness of the consumer to actually go to these things and to actually be a part of it to make their life better? Is there a real social kind of need there that we can see?
Yeah, there is. It's just that you need the credibility. I think if you want to go into the communities and you want people to listen to you, you need the credibility. They're not going to listen just to anybody. We have a challenge in South Africa with a trust in the financial sector. by a large number of consumers. That is why we have stats that shows people, I think it's about, they put money in the bank just because they have to have a bank account for their grant, etc. And then the next day they withdraw it. So there's no transacting going on because we got a large cash society in South Africa. 60% of South Africans still believe that you should only do cash. Yeah. Because in our communities, I want to see my money in my hand.
Yeah, it's
And
a real
we're
thing.
We're trying very hard to go into digital payments and digital systems, but there's another conversation that needs to take place first within the community is, who do you trust with your money?
Yeah.
And that's where that question that you asked, who are you going to listen to? And do you think you can go on do you want to go on a course? Now, the moment you ask somebody, do you want to go on a course for financial literacy? What you going to say?
Well, how much does it cost?
How much
I need to save money anyway. I don't want to pay for that.
When is it going to be? How long is it going to be?
Yeah.
So, and what you're saying about conversations, in South Africa, conversations is the way to go. We like storytelling.
It builds trust.
We like storytelling. So when you go in and you start with a PowerPoint, you've lost them already.
Yeah. Luckily, I didn't open it yet.
No,
Okay.
obviously,
It was still closed. I picked it up. I got the cues.
So, and that's why it's important. We also work a lot with community organizations, and we first find out what the needs are, because you need to find out. And that survey that you did before, and there's a good thing, but you mustn't do it in the workshop. You should have done it before the time.
It was before. It was. But I worked in there and I looked at all of these things, and I was
Exactly.
like, I'm seeing different answers in front of me.
And you also we've realized lately, you got to segment the population. So when you speak to youth, or even if you speak to communities, we talked about township communities, even within townships, there's segmentation. There's different levels of people that you need to speak to. Because there's no one size fits all. And often, and Zanele will bear me out, we listen to people and listen to their socioeconomic circumstances. And that's why people ask you, is this covered, is that covered, is that covered when you talk about insurance? Or they tell you, I don't need insurance.
Yeah.
And Zanele will tell you, short-term insurance or non-life insurance, it's
not a big
it's a
thing.
grudge buy.
No.
Yeah.
It's a grudge buy. And most people, if they buy a car, the moment they drive it off the lot, they cancel the policies.
Yeah.
And I think the conversation and getting the people that needs it, I think that's a big challenge that we really need to identify. Where's our vulnerable groups in the country?
Who would you say that is? Zanele, maybe I can ask you. Like the vulnerable groups, because we always put an umbrella over the previously disadvantaged and the vulnerable and who needs it most. But is there a particular group that if we target that group first, like the youth, for instance, or the parents of the youth, or I know this is a deep, crazy question, but where do we start?
I think for short-term insurance, let's start there.
Yeah.
When we engage with, regardless of where people come from, I mean, I've engaged with people from government who have a problem with short-term insurance. People also, they tend to anchor on their own experiences and how they were disappointed when they wanted to claim. So everybody needs education. However, if you looked at the vulnerable group, I would start with, for instance, maybe the middle class, because we are the consumers of short-term insurance products. But we don't end there, because insurance is a risk mitigating element to your whole risk management profile. So it is about engaging with everybody, including the child that lives with their mother or their family, on what is it that they need to do to manage the risk of the household. So it depends on, obviously, if you go to the youth, they don't have money. Most of the Gen Zs don't buy cars. They are staying at home with their parents. They drive their parents. Like my children, my big daughter drives my car. And she's actually gotten my premium high because of the accident that she's
Driver
caused.
under 25 years old.
You see, and so we've learned through her actually causing accidents that actually I've had to go back to her to say, you see, it's not about you just paying the excess. Say, no, don't worry, mommy, I'll pay the excess. It is about you being responsible, because now I'm paying 1,005 more for this insurance. So
And some people don't even know that the insurance was going to go up because of a claim.
Yes.
So like it goes down to the education, right down to that level.
Right down, yes. So it's about managing your risk portfolio for everybody. And I think what we normally say at SAIA about consumer education is that it's not limited to anyone. Everybody needs that education so that they can be empowered to actually have a better experience with the industry.
Yeah.
And the industry is not that bad. That is also one thing that
Say
we want to get
say
out
it loud.
there.
The industry is not that bad.
The industry is not bad.
Talking about the crooks in suits.
Not the brokers. We're talking about the other guys.
So yes, the industry actually wants to have your claim paid at the end of the day. But the issue is it's a contract. There are limitations. So you need to know how to navigate this whole thing to be able to actually be happy with the outcome at the end.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a step back, even before you even talk insurance, and you talk about the vulnerable group, you need to teach people how to plan their money, because you can't buy insurance if you don't know if you have money to take out the insurance. So for us, I mean, we look at the whole spectrum of the population, and it starts with budgeting, and sometimes we don't even use a word. We say you must plan your money or plan your finances.
Yeah.
And
That's my words that I used.
Yeah.
I didn't say budgeting in the course.
Because we can't, you got to simplify it. I mean, we don't even speak savings because some people don't understand savings. We say put money away.
Yeah.
So you got to use the language that people speak. So when it comes to buying insurance at the end of the day, first of all, do I need it? That's the first people ask you. So now you look at the vulnerable group, you look at women, for instance. Youth is one, but youth, like you say, they don't always have the money to buy insurance. But if you look at women, especially that buys cars, women that are, especially women that get divorced, they
Single
go out on their own,
moms
single moms
with a car that the kid goes to school.
Exactly.
They may be renting.
Yeah. So you gotta cover all that basis.
Yeah.
And I think from a regulator point of view, it benefits us as a regulator to have a good financial industry first of all, and the financial industry then foster the trust for the clients to then buy the products. So it benefits us to have good clients that understands financial issues and are financially literate, because then we don't have to slap fines and we don't have to disbar or debar anybody, because then the financial sector is doing their job and the regulation becomes much easier because the clients are informed, and they'll then have, and I think this is something that most brokers, they don't realize. If you treat one client fairly, it's got a knock-on effect.
Yeah.
Because they will tell their friends and their family, which means you will have clients for life, basically.
Yeah.
But if you just get, and sorry, I mentioned the word crooks in suits, but if just one person gets wronged, it starts.
It's a ripple
tainting.
effect.
Yeah, it taints the whole industry.
It's not nice. Yeah.
And from our side, we try as far as possible to get that trust within the industry, because it just makes regulation, like I said, easier, but it makes selling easier as well.
So much easier.
And because people want to see the benefit. Why do you want to sell me this insurance policy? What am I going to benefit from it? And with short term or non-life, it means I have to wait till something happens.
Yeah.
Now when the I won't use the word, the insurance that pays you out afterwards, that pays you out without something happening.
Yeah.
When that concept came in, you saw more people start taking up short term,
because they're getting something back.
Because they're getting something back.
Yeah.
So more and more people want to see, how do I benefit? How do I make it interesting? How can you make it interesting for me so that I can gain something?
Sure.
And sometimes you feel or you see insurance claims. People falsify their claims because I haven't claimed for 3 years or for 5 years.
And now I can.
Let me just put in that camera that I saw there, or I had that leather jacket and I couldn't find it anymore, or
And if they get caught out, it's actually it ruins your whole risk profile for the rest of your life.
This is the thing.
You'll never get insurance.
So things like that, a risk profile and credit profiles is also part of the whole process. And people don't really understand it until you break it down into small terms as to why we're telling you this, why must you do this, why can't you falsify? Because this is going to happen in the future.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think we need a coffee break after that, because you guys are you're inspiring me actually to kind of do more. I really want to. Don't say anything. Let's have coffee and we'll be right back.
Cool. How's it going? Okay.
The insurance industry is changing fast. The way we work, the risks we face, and clients' expectations are evolving every single day. That's where Sapiens comes in. They're building cutting-edge technology that helps insurers stay ahead. streamlining processes, reducing inefficiencies, and making the entire experience smarter. If you're in the industry, this is the tech you need to know about. Learn more at sapiens.com. Okay, I've got a question, I think, or a comment from Zanele.
Okay, so Jason, you were talking about engaging with those ladies at the spa. So you spoke about that you came with a presentation, but then you ended up engaging with them.
Yeah.
That already by doing that, you are doing what we call just assessing the suitability of your content. So like Lyndwill said, it's important to do that before and then using that information on what the challenges are of the target group to go and then create your content to suit the needs of your target group. So in terms of GN 500, you tick one box.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Okay, well, maybe not the rest of the 5, but we'll get there. I actually wanted to ask about the material itself, because I'm seeing that there is a business opportunity out there for people that want to start financial literacy courses and all those things. I've thought about it and stuff, but then I've realized it's actually nice to have my own stuff that I can talk to my client with and, educate them. But it's a lot of work to build those things out. How are you guys actually helping us with that content? You said the material is free, but where do we get the material? How do we get the material? Can we amend the material? And also, is there a place where guys like myself, brokers, people in the insurance industry, where we can go to other of the organizations and say, we want to be able to educate. How do we do this? Can you hold our hands? Maybe let's start with you, Zanele, and how does SAIA kind of fill that role? And then we can jump to Lyndwill.
Okay, great, Jason. So since 2017, from 2017, we decided to stop doing budgeting and to start focusing on non-life insurance. Because what we picked up is not many players in the education space actually understand the insurance. So we got someone who knows the industry, who's worked in the industry for many years, to start building content for us. So we've got content since 2018, actually.
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
We've got tons and tons of content. And our content is split into risk management, understanding the products, and understanding how to engage with the industry, right, for good outcomes. So actually, our content is available. The only issue that we've got, I think, at the moment is that it's not properly curated. We just have tons of content.
So and we have to create it then ourselves.
Yes, so whatever it is
That's
that you
fine.
want. Also, you can also add into that portal of our content if you've got a topic that we haven't covered.
So I want to say something to the viewers right now. If you have never heard about SAIA, go to the website, figure them out, figure out what they do, and get in touch with Zanele and her team. So any of the topics that you think are not there, let's fill up that content bank. Let's close the gaps. So please email or LinkedIn or any of those things, but impact@theinsuranceapprentice.co.za is the place to go, and we can make an impact, a real impact, if you just leave an idea, and we'll put that on their website.
Okay. Yeah, so we go beyond that, obviously, because we cover a bigger spectrum. So we've got a series called My Money. It's called the My Money Learning Series.
Is that with the FPI?
Or the FSCA.
No, but I mean the FPI's got a
they've got My Money 1 to 3.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not the same.
Okay, so FPI's got one. You can visit that one, but the FSCA?
In fact, I was in a conversation the other day where that came up, which one, because I was on a webinar during
My wife does trademarks and stuff. Yeah, I'm just saying.
So we tried to trademark My Money. They said you can't because it's difficult. It's across the board. So we've got the FSCA My Money Learning Series. And that's what makes it unique because it says FSCA.
Okay.
It's got 5 different themes: knowledge, it's got business, it's got protection, consumer protection, and it's got a whole range. It covers everything from budgeting right up to retirement and beyond. So if you go onto our website at FSCAmymoney.co.za, you can find the themes. We even go as far as small businesses. And we've actually started curating and putting the content into areas.
Okay.
Our challenge is the content is mostly static. So we've got this huge bank of content sitting on the website. What we're now doing is, because people don't want to read, we used to develop these brochures. There's still a lot of brochures.
It's like those gospel tracts.
Exactly.
You know?
So we've stopped printing them now
Sure.
because people don't read them.
No.
So what we're doing is we're taking small chunks. So because we've moved on to social media now, and so we're doing short videos, we're doing small messaging on social media using that information.
Yeah.
So if you want to use it, all you do is you drop me a mail, you say, how are you going to use it? What's your target group? If you want to amend it, obviously you need to ask my permission because we've got the copyright. And then if you want to co-brand, you also say, listen, we want to use our company logo next to the FSCA's. I go to the powers that be, and we put it out there.
I love it.
We've actually found, and I think maybe the next part of the conversation should go to stakeholders, because you spoke about the FBI and SAIA. And we found that we can partner with the financial sector now, because in the past we used to be very cloak and dagger, the FSB undercover,
separate.
Yeah. But more recently, our senior management and our executive committee has become a bit more open to the idea that we need the industry. We cannot do this alone. We need partners. And we're actually partnering with a financial institution currently where their logo and our logo is on the social media messaging. And we find we reach more people.
Yeah.
Because we've got a captive audience. And all we need to do is we need to be careful that they don't market their products while we put our logo to it. Yeah, it's education.
Okay,
only.
well, I'm gonna pledge this. So I've got a social media page called Money Mizen, and it's my education page only. I don't sell, I don't do anything. I'm going to ask you for some content. I'm going to make videos and I'm going to put that all over that. And I'm going to ask you for some content. I'm going to create the content with my little intern in the back there, Dylan, and we're going to post it on Money Mizen. And I'm going to co-brand it with FSCA and we're going to go big with it. Okay.
You're more than welcome.
And I'll test it out. If anyone's watching, you guys can go to my social. This is a plug. But then you can see what the content looks like, how it can be portrayed, and we can get more brokers, more people in the industry to co-brand and just push out the message. Because I think that's all it is.
Definitely. I think the one thing that we need to be very careful of is, or track, is the monitoring. How do people receive those messages?
Yes.
Because we've got...
Because it's not advice.
Yeah, it's not advice.
That's very clear. We must make sure of that.
It's not advice, because we got this thing around monitoring and evaluating. And I think the guidance note 500 also speaks to that, where you actually have to get an outside company to monitor what you do as your financial education. And in that way, they tick another box. I don't like to use that word because it's become an exercise.
That way you get closer to the goal of educating clients much better and much more holistically.
Well said.
Without issues.
So each company, when Zanele does something, when I do something, we get a company and they monitor and evaluate the actual activity that you do. Now, with social media is a little bit different because you've got a lot of different metrics. What's an impression? What's an engagement? How long did people take to watch the video?
Which part of the video did they flip and watch?
Exactly. But you don't actually know, did they take in the impact that they have? So at some stage, we have to set up some macroeconomic indicators. Is our savings culture increasing? Are people buying more insurance products? You got to put that somewhere so that you can measure on a macro level rather than a micro level, because it's easy to pull those stats from Google. But what do they actually mean for you?
Sure.
So that's quite an important part of what we're into now, and to look at impact. So we're moving away from just saying, here's a message, read it at your leisure. It's almost like, does this have an influence in your life? Is it changing your behavior in terms of the financial decisions you're making?
And we have to measure those things. I mean, otherwise we don't know the impact.
Definitely.
I think the one thing that I've always struggled to understand is why government and the powers that be, the organizations that I'm sitting with and all these guys, where we don't actually put the content in a curriculum in school. Why is that not being done? Because I've literally, when I was teaching grade 8 to 9, I would actually take a little bit of time on a Friday when my classes were bored of teaching, and would give them a free period, but I would teach them about money. And I'd say, let's go through how we look at cost versus profit. And we ran a little business. I said, let's start a business. And I asked the kid, what business do you want to start? And then we kind of went through that process. And then the next week we did budgeting. And I said, how much pocket money do you have? And we went through the pocket money on the board. And some people had more pocket money, some people had less. But the kids loved it. And those kids, I'm seeing them now matriculate. They're all in varsity and all of those things. And half of them, I've actually got a lot of messages from those guys. They were only grade 8 to 9. But they'll message me and they'll say, sir, And when I get that sir, it's always a nice, sir, I saw this and this and this. How do we do this? Thank you so much for this. I'm studying this, and it comes from those little moments. And I want to know, what are we doing in the schools and how do we get into those schools? Because I'm getting goosebumps here because I just want to do it,
So can I start?
Go ahead.
So SAIA supports one program. I'm not going to mention the name. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to. Anyway, this program also targets grade 7s in primary schools on, I think it's got over 30 modules on money management and everything that you're talking about. And it's done on an app.
Sure.
Yes, with built-in monitoring and evaluation capabilities. Wow. So it's happening. I think what I've heard is that the challenge is everybody wants to go to school, right? Everybody wants to go and engage with learners. So it is now up to the likes of Lyndwill and National Treasury to actually help us to find a way to coordinate ourselves, because you don't want 100 practitioners going to the same school and saying, I need an hour of your
Well, I'm thinking we must go into the curriculum.
Yeah.
It's like maths, science, chemistry, all of those.
Yeah.
And then, boom, we've got finance.
So like Zanele said, so we're trying to do that. However, from the education department's point of view, it's already there. So like I said earlier on, it's a very academic
theory.
So know how to work with from a, say, foundation phase. So it's learn what is money.
Yeah.
What's the value of money, and then there's a subject called economic and management sciences as they go into intermediate phase. But when they get to grade 10, they split up. So then they do business economics, accounting. So it's good. So up to that point, you get some, because I think there's some 25% of financial literacy in the economic and management sciences curriculum.
Yeah.
But after grade 10, now if you do business or accounting,
your BCom subjects to get you into varsity, you'll kind of know.
There's a lot of financial, and there's financial maths as well.
But what about the person
those
that's
that
doing
do
art?
the science
Yeah.
or art,
Yeah.
they don't have it. So we've been trying to lobby the education department to put it into the subject called life orientation. Now, everybody was wondering in the past,
Finally.
where does life orientation come from? And now people realize
It used to be called guidance.
yes, yes.
Let's guide people.
But now they realize, but we can actually do this. So we're trying to lobby them to say, listen, we need to write the curriculum, and we're waiting for when there's a next curriculum review. Because with the education department, you can't just push them into the...
It's a slow-moving
wheel. It's a slow process,
Yeah.
and we gotta first get them on board. A lot of them are already on board because they see the value of it. We've started projects because a lot of what we're doing is also extracurricular, but related to the CAPS curriculum. So we've started 2 projects. The one was a grade 11 speech competition, okay, and that is a 5-minute speech where learners, grade 11s, at first it was just a commercial stream, and then we opened up to all the streams. So, and in that you cover entrepreneurship, you cover insurance, you cover budgeting, you cover debt management, everything. They do their speeches, and at the end of the process, in fact, the final is on Friday in Cape Town, where all 9 provinces have a representative.
Yeah.
And they win 40,000 prize at provincial level,
Wow.
investment prize, and 40 at national.
Wow.
So if you win at national, you could have an 80,000 rand.
Sure.
And on top of that, we also give them a bursary to go study at any university of their choice.
Wow.
So what we're trying to do is close the loop from education to tertiary education, and then even we get in the financial sector, we then get people like Zanele and her members to assist these learners to get either learnerships or to get a job within the financial sector. Because I think this is what the insurance apprentice also speaks to, promoting careers within the financial sector. Because if we don't do that, I think we're going to have a problem. I mean, when I grew up, I never knew I could become an insurance broker.
Yeah.
I never knew I could. There's certain careers in the financial sector that you just don't
My
get.
My aunt kept telling me, you're going to be a broker. You are a broker. Yeah. And I said, I do not want to be a broker. The only broker I want to be is a stockbroker.
Well, that's also a job.
yeah, exactly.
So you see, you gotta take them, and to get them into the school is quite a problem. But there's a lot of things you can do. And I mean, like Zanele said, with their project that they get, we're just not coordinating on a good level. And I think that's what the National Consumer Financial Education Committee wants to do. It's chaired by National Treasury, and she's mentioned that we need to do something about it, including a repository for research, but also for content. Because we develop content that's generic, that can maybe go across all the grades, but they've got, from Zanele's point, they've got specific
direct
high level that's much higher than the content that we are pitching it up. So, and also, I might not be able to speak to somebody that wants to take out an insurance policy. I'll give them here of the different kinds. But Zanele and her content will speak directly to, you want car insurance, you want something for your cell phone, this is what you can talk to. So it's I'm jumping all over the show, and I'm trying to connect the dots.
You're painting a great picture.
I'm trying to connect the dots here.
Future.
Yeah.
You know, I'm seeing that there is change coming.
Yeah.
There is planning happening. I just want it to happen so quickly. I just wish it could. And that's just mine, and I know it.
That's
you know. But I'm going to touch on another side of this, because the FSCA is very heavily involved in TIA, actually. And the show itself, bringing in candidates to showcase what we're about and what the insurance industry is about. But I find it also just shows that there's such a vastness in what we do. And there's also such a need for kind of cool ideas to come out, because TIA for me was one of those awesome, innovative ideas that is now on TV, where people are watching an insurance show. It's like, it blows my mind that that's actually on TV. Rionette, well done, your team. I don't know how you guys did it. Insurance on TV. I barely get one view on YouTube, so you must understand. At least I'll get two, because I've got two guests today, so that's a good one. If you watch it, please watch your own episode. But TIA has been doing that for 10 years, 11 years.
11 years.
The 11th one was on TV. I was a part of 10, so I've just missed out. But anyway, but the way that they've done it, is there something in the works where your content is going to be, because you said social media, how are you leveraging technology and what's out there where we can actually reach the people in their living room, or even somewhere else randomly, you know, at a cricket stadium, because you guys are marketing education there? I don't know. What are you doing that's a little bit different? And Zanele, you can start with SAIA.
So we need youth. Yeah, I watched a few episodes over the weekend of TIA, and I realized that we need the young adults to actually move us to the next phase. So thank you so much for this show. We are currently investigating social media. Now, Lyndwill was talking about social media around the fact that it might not be impactful. But the issue is, when you hear complaints about social media is influential. It is.
It's the big one.
It's the big one. It's the big risk when it comes to bad behavior. So why can't we use it to actually educate people and to create the impact that's required? But we do need the new ideas. We are moving into the vodcast. We're trying social media. So please watch out for next year. I was very much interested.
Host? No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
Is this a job interview?
Is this an interview? I'm just kidding. Yeah, is this an interview?
Listen, I'm just kidding. I love this job, but I also have a real job, okay? I don't need too many podcasts going on, flip.
Yeah, so, but I found the TIA to be actually a great show, and I think there is opportunity to use it, even if it's just to create awareness about the industry. And I think, like you're saying, people are starting to ask questions when they're buying products. That's really what we need. We need people to actually be aware and to just start asking more questions, and also to know where to go to get more information.
Okay. So I think, to wrap up, I think I will link the websites and all the resource docs and everything that you've said, because you've actually given me so many resources. And it's the first time I feel this way. You must understand, I've done like 25, 30 episodes, I don't even know how many. And you guys are literally getting me excited. And I think it's the teacher in me, you know, because I'm like, there is hope. And I love that. All those things will be in the episode comments and the description. But I would like to ask you one question, because the goosebumps were real in this episode, and all these things, the impact that we're going to make after this episode is going to be great. But I know that you are teachers and passionate about what you do. But is there a burden or a hope in your heart that is really something you want to share with the viewers about the industry, or even just on your shoulders, that you want to just mention and kind of guide either the youth or the viewers there to say insurance is either for you or not, or this is what you can do one day, or this is where we can make a difference, you know? So I think, Lyndwill, I'll let you think about that one. And I'll jump to Zanele. Zanele?
Thanks, Jason. So my hope for the industry is for us to have more people insured. Currently, in terms of homeowners cover, I think we cover about 8%. 8%.
That's a single digit.
Yeah, single digit.
That's not even a pass at government school.
I know.
Yeah.
So I'll send you the data. So we don't cover enough people. And I think the issue is now we're moving into the issues of global warming and stuff. We've got more issues with the weather-related events. You need people covered. You need people educated on which products can be suitable for them. So the first thing is to get people covered and to get people to actually understand the benefit of insurance, to get them to claim and to be sustainable. So that's number one. I'm passionate about the youth, and also I know that over 50% of young adults, Gen Zs, are unemployed. I think the industry has opportunity, especially around innovation, because of the issue that we don't cover enough people. So we need the youth to think about, especially those who are in the industry, how they can introduce new products, new ways of doing things. We depend on them. I'm in Otani. So
I wouldn't have said it, but okay.
My time is almost up. We do depend on the youth to actually take the industry forward to the next level.
So that's a cry for youth out there. I think the youngsters out there that are watching this, if you are younger than me or around my age, and you've got some ideas, please use that email address or connect with us on LinkedIn, and we'll definitely do something. Zanele, that's amazing. It's nice to see your heart, and I can see that you really, really do mean it. And it really, I'm excited about this. I don't know why, but something's happening after this episode, I can tell you. Lyndwill?
Yeah. So if you're the Otani, then I'm probably the Otopi. So I think we need to start, and here my plea to the financial sector is to start demystifying insurance, to demystify financial products. We have a lot of customers or clients, existing clients that have products that they don't need. There's a lot of mis-selling still going on. But then we've got these potential clients that are looking towards the financial sector because they don't have access to financial education, for instance. So this is where, from our side, again, we need to get together, and as stakeholders, we need to start coordinating much better what we do and how we do it, so that we can assist the financial sector to demystify the products that they're selling. Secondly, we need to simplify the products. I still feel our products are so complicated. And the jargon that we are using are confusing people to the point that they just sign because they believe that whoever they're speaking to across the
knows what they're doing,
has
told them everything,
have got their best interests at heart. But then again, to speak to consumers and to speak to the youth, but even we started a project for grade R learners recently.
Oh, that's awesome.
A speech festival, not a speech competition, but a speech festival. And it was actually absolutely, it's great. We're expanding it to other provinces next time. But to speak to consumers and say, know what your needs are, know what it is that you want. Because most people, they get the idea into their heads, there's a financial product, or I need insurance, but I don't know what I need. So we often say we don't know what we don't know. So do your homework. Go out and learn. Educate yourself around whatever you need. But in that whole process, also decide what your own life goals are in terms of your finances. Because that's the whole process. You can't just go out and buy something if you don't know what the goals are. Does it fit within my life plan, if I can put it? I don't want to sound melodramatic or philosophical. You got to go out. Otherwise, there's no point in you just going into the shop and going to buy a jeans.
But your money is the vehicle that gets you through your life plan. Most of the time.
So the message is plan ahead and be sure because we haven't spoken about scamsters yet. I mean, scams are on the rise. It is so ridiculous how quickly people get scammed. We had our World Investor Week last week, and we spoke one scam. I want to use this platform to talk about relationship investment scams. It's also called pig butchering. It's a very nasty name, but it's where it's almost they fatten you up and then they butcher you. Which means they get into a relationship with you either on WhatsApp or whatever, and you start engaging with someone, and at some point they hit you with an investment that's too good to be true. And most people fall for it, unfortunately.
Because they've done the hard work that we want to do,
so they
which is build trust.
That's it.
And they've built fake trust.
So I think we need to, and especially for the scams, we at the FSCA, we now starting to get together within the company to say, let's all decide and find out what is everybody doing about scams. And now we're going to try and take it outside the institution as well to say, who else is working on scams? There's the South African Fraud Prevention Department and companies. There's a lot of companies that are, we haven't even touched influencers yet.
You are coming back.
So there's a lot that we actually can talk about because even on this show, you guys have got the potential to reach so many consumers with the messaging that you're taking out there. But yeah, that's it from my side. I think the Insurance Apprentice is great, the TIA and the work that you guys are doing. Edutainment is a great way
that's the word that I wanted.
Edutainment is a great form of consumer education, and we should use it a bit more.
And you guys are leveraging it. I mean, the FSCA task is the biggest and the hardest task ever. So I'm looking forward to the next season where we find whose task is more difficult and more technical than the FSCA task. I want to see that because I felt like some of the guys had a little easy this season. But guys, thank you so much for being with me today. And I actually just want to say a really sincere, heartfelt thank you for the work that you guys are doing. You're not only shaping the industry that we're in now, but you're building an industry that we can really thrive in the future. So thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. And thank you to Rianet. Well done.
Cheers.
Congratulations.